62,502,904. This is the number of abortions that have occurred since 1973, the passing of Roe v. Wade in the US. That's 62,502,904 lives that have been taken in the course of 50 years. Something must be done about this travesty, but taking an extreme stance on either side of the spectrum is unwise, and this speech will show why. The USSR banned abortions and set up strict rules that derived mainly from the Russian Orthodox Church. Sentences for performing or receiving an illegal abortion ranged anywhere between 5 to 10 years, depending on the status of the fetus. In 1649, the Russian legal code equivocated infanticide with abortion, and of course punishments were set up for those who performed abortions. Midwives and doctors were the main aiders in this process, but doctors were punished the most since they had the most medical experience. Punishments ranged anywhere from penance, forced starving, to scourging and time in labor camps, as well as exile to Siberia for those who helped with the woman's knowledge and consent. Self-abortions were also punished, and a new law in 1922 banned casual abortion, all for the sake of the woman's health. Unfortunately, these rules and bans did not deter women from receiving abortions anyway, so the government imposed fees. In Leningrad in 1935, 3.6 million rubles was made off of abortions. And in 1936, a ban continued to make abortions illegal, but excluded medically essential abortions. Aaron Soltz, the prosecutor general for the USSR, said this about abortion: "Abortion was destruction of nascent life, an evil legacy of the order when a person lived by his narrow personal interests, not the life of the community. The nation needed to grow its population, so Soltz banned abortion." Despite all of this, illegal abortions continued to grow. More deaths in women occurred because of the unsanitary medical conditions. Part of the Great Terror actually originated from illegal abortions. However, in 1955, abortions were legalized again, but only in hospitals, and in 1962, they became free of cost again. So is the side of the argument of completely banning abortions. Just like with the prohibition in the United States, people will find dangerous loopholes. The USSR paid heavy consequences, and those consequences should be lessons for other countries to learn. However, completely opposite is allowing legal abortions. How imprudent of us to allow the end of a legacy, the end of a generation. The more children that are killed now, the less population we have in the future, which is an extreme consequence, but what we do now, or don't do now, always affects the future. The driving motivation behind finding a middle ground should be what God says and thinks about abortion. In Exodus 20:13, he equivocates murder with sin. Killing the life of a baby is murder, and a God-honoring nation should not allow something so dishonoring to him to happen. So why should we take a stand? Why do anything about a 50-year-old law? Well, a small example could be your school sending all the money that's devoted to the sports department to the music department instead, or vice versa, depending on where you stand. That's unfair, and one party will be extremely delighted while the other suffers. Something has to be done. A middle ground has to be found, just like in this situation. So the first thing that we have to do is acknowledge that there is even a problem, and then do the research about the problem and solutions that other people have tried to find. Then we have to let our voice be heard. We must not be afraid to speak out. This speech, hopefully, is the first step in research for you. That taking either extreme side or doing nothing, both have harsh consequences. In Leviticus 19:16 in the Message version, it says, "Don't stand by when your neighbor's life is in danger." The best and most righteous solution is working towards common ground and not sitting around doing nothing. Leviticus 19:15, also in the Message version, says, "Judge on the basis of what is right." Do not take sides based on someone else's opinion or your opinion, but look fairly at the situation and find a solution that's best for everyone, that lines up with your beliefs and what God says about it. Consider everyone involved and try to find the least detrimental common ground, something that doesn't affect everyone too harshly. Most importantly, pray for divine changes, pray for the softening of hearts in leadership and authority, and pray for wisdom and strength for those forefront fighters and defenders of righteousness. Everyone can do something, no one should do nothing.